Very good. All right, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome to the Seattle Flow Arts Collective Autumn Board Meeting. It's November 2nd. Thanks for waking up. I would like to kick off with the roll call. We have some people not present today. So I see Arlene is here, our executive director. Woohoo. We have board members Kat and Desert and Ariana and Blaze. And we have community members Zoe and Jesus. And I would like to confirm, is anyone taking notes? Do we have a fill in or trying to remember what we did? Eileen, do you know?
Zach is our secretary. So if there's someone who wants to take notes, that would be rad. I talk too much to take notes.
I can try.
And or we could turn on the Zoom robot, maybe from inside here.
AI companion, a sparkle.
I'm in favor of using the tools that are available to us to put a less load on the people available to us.
Okay, yeah,
Is that just the AI companion?
I think so.
Okay. I clicked enable.
Okay, sweet. We'll see if it works. So we have a board members here. Tuck and Zach and Allison are not present as of right now, but I do believe we have a quorum of 1+1, so we can call this meeting to order. So in order to do that, we need to approve this agenda. So if I could have a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Do we have any seconds on the motion?
Second.
All right, any discussion on the motion to approve the agenda?
Yeah, I'd like to take a minute and review the agenda.
Sure.
Jesus, if you put your email in the chat, I can share the agenda with you if you would like.
One thing that's not on the agenda, I think, is development.
Mm. Put this. All right, we've added that.
I'm good.
All right, any further discussion on the motion to approve the agenda? All right, all in favor say aye. All against say nays.
Aye.
Aye. I think the ayes have it. Oh, I see Desert's acknowledgement. Okay, sweet, motion carries, and we're gonna continue down our agenda here. The next little vote we get to do is the approve the minutes for last meeting, which have been linked in there. We kind of went over this at the retreat, but this is from August. This is like ancient history. So please do take a look at those notes. But
We
unless
We name the file minutes now that it's minutes instead of agenda.
That's genius. Let's see, agenda and minutes. Cause yeah, that would. I wonder where the agenda had gone. Anyone have questions about this thing we're approving from last time? May I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Any further discussion on motion to approve the agenda and minutes from last time? Desert, you good? Okay, seeing no further discussion, I'd like to move on to the vote. All in favor, say aye. All against, say nay. You may also use thumbs up, thumbs down. It's your preference.
Aye.
I mean, you can't vote, but I like your thumbs up. All right, the ayes have it. We're gonna move on. So, all right, I'm in the wrong agenda here. Let's pause and get those. Let Arlene catch up for a second here. So there's 2 items in the new business section. We are not obligated to go in order. So I would like to take the pulse on whether we want to go through updates first or discussion first. Or if we should table for later, given that there's about half the board here.
Sorry, would you repeat that?
Should we do new items first or unfinished items first? Or updates? Does it?
We could also, you know, Zoe, I don't know if you're planning to stay for the whole meeting, but if you're here for your presentation, maybe we could do that earlier and give Zoe some more time.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Well, in that case, should we begin with Zoe? Are you ready to? Okay. Well, we're going to rearrange this agenda slightly so that Kindle report is at the top. Okay, cool. So Zoe, Director of Kindle, is going to give us a little report. So take it away.
We see the presentation.
I can see it.
And Zoe, you're muted.
You zoom
All
real quick.
right, that's it's readable for everyone. It's in
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's good.
cool. And my monitor sometimes stretches it too much. Okay, so this is the 2024 annual report for Kindle Northwest. It was a very successful year. So starting with attendance, our projected was kind of just going off of last year a little bit and our early ticket sales. Initially, we were slightly worried about where ticket sales were at. We did have a really great surge just about 2 or 3 weeks out from the event. Our original projected was right around 444 total attendees. So that would be including crew and general attendees. Our final numbers were 547 total attendees, being 292 general admission. 236 were a blend of comp tickets as well as crew. And we had 2 youth tickets, 15 vending tickets for vendors. And then we did something a little new this year. We had 2 day passes that were allowed for a mother and son doing a cute school project on flow arts, which we really loved. And he was very excited about it. So that was a cool new thing. Onto our revenue and expenses. Again, projected, we're kind of just rough estimates off of our set budget and just kind of punching numbers off of where our ticket sales were earlier on. Our expenses as our set projected were right around 91,000. Our revenue was projected to be at 92,000. Our actual expenses came out to be 94,578. And our revenue was at $105,824 with a net profit of $11,246. So we were very excited. Our expenses went up at the end just slightly, just because we were able to back pay original pay cuts we had for director team and a couple other positions for pay bumps. So while our projected budget was slightly lower due to our profits, we were able to kind of go back and retroactively get those pay cuts that were made out of necessity because we were worried about not making enough money. So this is our expenses breakdown. These numbers aren't fully finalized. This was based off of our current numbers uploaded to our bookkeepers for categorization. We do have several charges still waiting to finalize for kind of check payouts, as well as just things on our final accounting numbers. So these will kind of fluctuate a little bit, but give an accurate representation of where our bulk expenses breakdown are. So we had 29,000 to our staff, categorized as our independent contractors. We had $1,200 for contract services. This was utilized for our website maintenance and such. We have currently 1,147 for our accounting fees for our integration with QuickBooks. And just before I go, I think I see Desert, you have a hand up.
Yeah, Zoe, what qualifies as an independent contractor? Is that like give us a couple of those groups, like the big top 3 groups that qualifies for?
Yeah, so for independent contractors, these are primarily all of our staff and crew. This is just general crew, as well as our organizers, and as well as the directors. Anyone that works directly with Kindle Northwest and that we give them a payment is an independent contractor in terms of our event. Outside of that, yeah, go ahead, Desert.
Keep going.
Oh, outside of that, other categorizations will be essentially the like merchant fees, as well as like contract services are external to our event. Whereas the independent contractors are internal. So DJs, anyone working in departments and such like that. Our accounting, oh, go ahead.
If I can, Zoe.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm asking is I'm pretty sure that this includes all the instructors, right?
Yes, so instructors and performers as well. Yes, correct.
Right. So I would ask that an additional slide be created that breaks this down so that we can see how much we're paying instructors versus how much we're paying like the staff, right?
Got it.
Because honestly, I know what those numbers look like, and that's worth reporting.
Okay, got it. Yeah,
Right.
can do.
Yeah.
I can just quickly on here give a quick breakdown on that just verbally, and I can add it on later. Subtracting our organizers from our performance and workshop budgets, which was 1,600 or 600, sorry, 1,600. So we have 4 performers and workshops. We have $8,400 goes to our performers and workshops. So, so out of the 29,000, $8,400 goes to instructors and performers.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so on, the breakdowns are facility and equipment rentals. This is the venue rental itself, along with U-Hauls, budget vans, anything related to our rental equipment for the event. And our advertising and marketing. So this is kind of Facebook ads, such as that. Travel and meetings, this was utilized for transportation reimbursements, for kind of gas for staff, as well as our meetings for our organizer meetings and food and such for those. Supplies and materials were anything used for build. This is permanent kind of installations and such that will be ongoing for our event. We had a couple large projects this year, which were very exciting. We added some new benches for the fire circle, as well as a really great renovation for our fuel depot, which was very needed and looks great. We also have some new spider boxes around the event, and I believe have upgraded a lot of our lighting systems to have mag strips on them. So it helps with setup and tear down for future events. Event insurance, $839. We were very happy about that price. It was, as Arlene knows, a fun journey. Our merchant fees were towards our merchandise printing. We worked primarily with Iconis Artistry. So they did all of our printing for our hoodies, as well as our swag for fanny packs. Software and cloud services, our Google Suite, as well as marketing spaces for like mailing services and such. And we had a large chunk for a damage reimbursement this year. Those that know the details, but this was kind of one of our challenges this year early on an impact. So that was a large base for us this year on costs. And then we had $870 in donations. Majority of that will be going to our carbon offset. So, all right. And some highlights for this year we had for our challenges and successes. One of the big challenges was onboarding 4 new directors at once. We have never done that in the event. So it was a big challenge on navigating how we were assigning tasks and kind of who was taking initiative. The previous director team, we are calling them the reserves now. We're trying to empower the new directors as much as possible to be able to steer the ship. Us new directors were also then, we want to steer the ship, but we don't actually know what needs to get steered. So it was a growing pain process, but we also had several new organizers stepping into roles. There was a lot of shifting within the organization, previous long-term organizers phasing out. So there was some pretty harsh learning curves for people stepping into those new organizers roles. So that was one of the challenges this year. With the new director team and kind of having a too many cooks in the kitchen scenario, one of the challenges was clear communication throughout the organization from director team and just internally. That's one of the big initiatives that the ongoing directors, Bridget, Clarice, and I really want to address with having a much clearer communication for everyone involved. Ticket sales were also a challenge this year, since we were uncertain of having enough money for the event. Early on, setting budgets was very difficult. We had to really navigate on an extremely tight budget. So a lot of departments for projects, as well as kind of investing in different programming, was very, very limited this year. So that's something we're excited that we'll be able to kind of work off of our savings from this year into next year and start kind of expanding a lot of programming more. And with that note, the large payment for a damage reimbursement greatly impacted our savings. So we really had to rely on pretty much all ticket sales as well as finalized merchandise sales before we could really make any large purchases. With that, the successes, it was a very profitable event. We had fantastic merchandise sales and quite a lot of tickets on site, as well as an amazing turnout within the last week and a half, 2 weeks prior to the event. It's always kind of a toss-up, which is hard with Burning Man as well as Shift being right before. So it was a great turnout, and we had not a sellout, but really great attendance for this year. With the new people in leadership roles, it was amazing seeing everyone step up to those roles and seeing the long-term care and passion that it takes to make this event and seeing those torches passed. As well as for the Spark team, we did some new initiatives this year for the Spark team, which is our access and inclusion team. We had shifted our scholarship programming to direct community outreach this year, which was a huge success. We really wanted to streamline that process with as little kind of barriers to access. So rather than doing any kind of broad application processes, we were able to kind of just go out directly from the Spark team and hand out tickets to people that had never been to a Flow Arts Festival. And so we had 5 Sparks recipients for the scholarships, as well as their +1s. So we had 10 people from that get to come to our event for the first time, and they all absolutely loved it and was really amazing for them. I'm realizing I did not hit enter on my slide I was working on at the end. Desert, you have something?
Go to the next one. Just go to the next slide. I think it's.
Oh, that's what
there you go.
happened.
Yeah.
I copy and pasted. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and so with a lot of the new teams, we were really seeing a legacy of the event and generational shifts occurring, which is really exciting, with the event being around since, I think, 2010? Previously, Pacific Fire Gathering before Kindle Northwest. We had a lot of the same teams kind of continuing on into Kindle Northwest. So many people working for the same team structure for a very, very long time. We were really seeing that legacy happening this year, which is very exciting. It was showing a lot of the evidence of just the future and the longevity of Kindle Northwest. And was really beautiful to see a lot of the mentorship and growth of the individuals stepping into new roles. And we also saw with that amazing team dynamics, incredibly hard work from passionate people. We're really seeing the team dynamics solidify, and really felt like this was one of the smoothest years in terms of on-site work. We had some hiccups prior to it and some little bumps, but it all paid off extremely well. The setup and teardown was extremely efficient. Grounds, art and decor. The lodge had new organizational teams, and it's really cool seeing people stepping into being involved as volunteers for the first time and seeing the spark in their eyes. So that is the annual report for Kindle this year. We unfortunately, one other thing, we did not do our demographic polls this year. We wanted to take time to really curate that a little bit more. Last year's demographic polls were a little rushed and unclear, and also didn't have a good full outreach to attendees. So we erred on the side of not doing that this year to give ourselves times to create more accurate systems and how we're getting that information from people. So that's the one last note. Any questions that anyone has? Art, I think you're muted. Oh, okay. Desert?
What is that? Is there, like, I saw the savings plan. Is there like a savings plan?
So with that, the director team, we kind of settled on what we wanted as like kind of a final number in the bank account moving forward before we like really looked at investing that in any other spaces for kind of pay increases for anyone. Since we really exceeded where we were at, we were able to increase kind of payouts for crew members and such. Currently, we don't have a specific plan on what we will be utilizing that for, but coming into setting next year's budget, we'll be able to allocate that more to specific departments that are needing a little bit more resources for projects. Specifically looking at our access and inclusion team and Spark team as one of the primary teams that I want to be able to invest more in for their programming, along with our transportation needs on site for ADA. We really want to solidify a better system for that, as well as then increase systems for art and decor, looking at how we can really help lift a lot of spaces for ongoing resources. So that's currently our kind of plan for how we can utilize that earlier savings for budgeting, and ideally kind of creating yearly a similar amount of where we want to end the event. So we have a ongoing savings within our bank account for potential years of low ticket sales or any other surprise large payments that come out of the blue.
Cool. I guess what I was asking is that money, right? Whatever that amount is year over year, is gonna essentially just be sitting in that account for like 8 months, right?
Currently, that is the plan. So yeah, we don't have any like investment or spaces for that. It will just kind of be sitting available. Also having a minimum amount for accounting fees, ongoing like web services and such.
Yeah, so the reason I bring it up is SFAC is working through investment opportunities for the funds that we have as well. And just doing a quick calculation on, you know, just 10,000. And just like a basic CD gets about $230 in 8 months.
Okay.
Right? So let's talk about how we feel about rolling that up as a investment like strategy that can, like, we already have a model for CFAC. Y'all might be able to just adopt the model, and you know, we don't need 2 people tracking those if we decide to go that way.
Yeah, no, that would be great. I think that's definitely conversations on how we can really ensure, yeah, just the longevity of the event through the years. Because that is one thing as well, long-term goals. We really do want to see expanding the ability to pay everyone within the event more for staff and crew, as well as just kind of setting the precedent for paying performers and instructors as close to a sustainable, livable payment for their time. So we're really wanting to set that precedent.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious. It did seem like the Spark program was super great this year. I know the cookout was awesome, and that the organizers were really, really happy with how that went. So that was great. to see. I'm curious if there was any like how people adjusted to the like direct invitation versus the application from the previous year. Just like if there was any feedback from the community about that.
We haven't like had any specific feedback to the director team from that. I'm still personally waiting to have a post-event decompression with the team. It's been tough on scheduling, but that is something we're going to kind of plan for. In terms of some feedback through kind of just social media outlooks, there was a lot of confusion this year on what was happening. That was part of the challenges for communication and getting things out early enough to let people know what was going on. But I think that was essentially just the confusion of kind of rumor mills of people being like, oh, the Spark team isn't a thing and it got dissolved, or like they're not funding it, and a lot of things like that where confusion came up. In terms of the team itself, there was a little bit of initial hesitancy or uncertainty of that kind of process. However, after the fact, it was kind of appreciation and support throughout the entire team on how that worked, just because it is emphasizing more of the initiative of the program to actively increase the diversity in our community and expand our community outside of what's already present. And it was extremely successful on a lot of people that are newer to the flow arts scene or have never even been to Kindle Northwest. So it was really great on that. And the couple of scholarship attendees that I did have the opportunity to talk to were just blown away with the event. And so it's exciting to have that, where there'll be kind of new attendees each year, as well as the hope that they can start being involved in their local communities and bringing more people of their friends in. And so, yeah, I think it was across the board very appreciated, because it removed the need for a lot of labor in terms of applications, filling out forms, kind of being waiting on the back burners before they knew if they could come. And so we were able to give firm yeses in July for everyone coming, which gave time to help with transportation needs and such.
Thanks.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I think if it's nothing else.
And so you are more than welcome to stay. I just didn't want you to feel obligated to sit through an hour meeting to get to your report.
I appreciate it. I may tune in a little bit longer, because I would love to hear what's going on, but I appreciate the early opportunity to talk.
Yeah. Thanks for putting the report together.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate this. Is really good to hear.
Happy to share. Yeah, it was a good year. It's exciting.
Yay. Well, with that, time check, it is 10:40. We have a bunch of other updates for other programs, and then we have other updates too. So I was wondering, should we do some program updates and take a little break, or something else and take a break?
I'd like to make sure we talk about the volunteer appreciation event. I think that's like maybe more pressing than general program updates.
Okay. Any other thoughts? All right. Well, let's jump down to that. It's in section E, part 2.
We want to hold an event at the Alki Bathhouse, and we talked some about the planning, but I don't know where we're at.
Yeah, so We need to email the people. I thought I would have time to do that this week, and with the conference, that was like absolutely an insane assumption on my part. I had no time to do anything this week, except for like a few things that I could get done yesterday. And then, yeah, I figured we would just talk about it live instead of sending a bunch of emails about it. Yeah, so we can still do it. There's time to do it in this like first week of December. What's up, Desert?
The difference between the annual board meeting and a working session or review session, I think is getting blurry to me here. Like, if we should have a separate meeting to talk about the status of this thing. I think the board meeting should be, this is the thing that we plan to do and we're working on it, so that the community knows that it's happening. But getting down into like the action items of it, I'm not sure that this is the forum.
Okay, I don't want to get too deep into the action items, but I guess I do just want to do a double check, like with the time frame that we have, do we still have time to do this event? Which is something I would rather just say to your faces than in an email.
I think so, but I kind of think we should just pick the date instead of sending out an email and waiting for responses. Like, I don't think we have a lot of time to do it that way.
Okay. So I know the thing, there's like maybe a conflict for the 7th. I kind of think that if we're gonna choose, do we rule out the 6th for some reason?
No, we could do it on the 6th.
Is that Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. It is so.
Cool, I'll make the reservation. I'll go in and make it right now, actually.
Awesome, thank you. Sorry, y'all. And we can, and the other details we can talk through later. I did get some feedback from Adrian, hi Tech and Zach, nice to see you both. I did get some feedback from Adrian, and catering is expensive. That's what I learned. So, okay. Are there any other, yes?
Me and Arlene and Blaze are meeting about volunteer recruitment. I think tomorrow, is it tomorrow at 6 p.m.? So if anyone else wants to join that meeting and we can talk some about planning this event, I'll forward the calendar invite, and if you can make it, that's cool.
I'm with it. Thanks for reminding me that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's always one of us who remembers. It's great.
All right. Well, we've done half of community outreach. The other half is volunteer recruitment, and like we just said, we're meeting to figure out plans for that. I don't have anything more concrete to add in that section. Other than we're gonna work on it.
Yeah, and just for kind of like a general update for the people here and for anyone watching this in the future, we are going to be running a volunteer recruitment campaign, probably starting in like January after holiday kerfluffle, and after we have had the chance to create all of the onboarding documents. We have like the process lined up, and we kind of know what the plan is, but we want to have like org charts and just some of the like things that we can send to new volunteers so that they can have like an orientation to the organization beyond just like what specifically they're going to be doing in whatever role they will be volunteering in. And we're also going to be doing a board recruitment campaign, which will be running like concurrently, but is technically kind of different. Oh my God, thank you, Zach. Because we need some new board members. It's time. I know there's some people who are, taking breaks and taking steps back, and it's time to get some fresh energy and people. So that's exciting too. So yeah, keep eyes peeled for that stuff later. More to come.
Any questions about volunteer section? All right. Should we do development next? Perhaps. Yeah.
Sure. It'll be really fast. I am planning to work with Arlene on end of year fundraising campaign. I have heard from some, but not all board members about what they can contribute to the matching fund. So if you haven't let me know, please do that. And then I'm going to turn it over to Arlene to talk about grants, I think, if there's any updates there.
I am this close to submitting the For Culture grant report that will prompt them to give us the reimbursement check. I had everything ready and in the portal last night, and then it would neither save nor submit. So I just have to like try another day, as it is with grant portals. But yeah, that's like ready to go. So that's just like a 30-second task. Once the system is operating. What's up?
Maybe it's different this year, but last year we had to request the reimbursement after the report. Are they linked? Are you gonna do the request?
The report is what requests the reimbursement.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so once I hit submit, that will prompt them to mail, I believe that they will mail us a check. I think is what happened last year. So we're doing this in time so that it will be in the correct fiscal year. Go us. It's happening.
The kids are doing it these days.
The kids do it like the kids. I don't know how they do it.
I don't
know. So that's great. There is a grant that I think I would like to apply for. That's due on November 26th. It's Arts in Parks. It's a Seattle Parks Department grant. They do have like preferred parks, which our parks are not, but we are not on the banned parks list. So, and that's like 3 points out of the 53 points possible is if it's in a preferred park. And I have received a message from Katie with Levity Arts, who is doing the big aerial and fire dancing events at Gasworks the past couple summers. And it sounds like they're perhaps interested in collaborating and are also thinking about this grant application. So she and I are going to have a meeting, and that could be like a joint thing. I think that would be a really dope thing if that worked out. And if not, yeah, maybe applying for like the fire jam. I don't know if Northwest Flow Fest qualifies for the grant because it's not 100% free. Has like paid components. So Kat.
So I'm trying to remember. I think we maybe applied for this grant like a few years ago. Blaze, do you know the answer? I feel like we did it for Flap. I'm not sure if we got it. Anyway, when it came into my inbox, I was like, this looks familiar. Blaze?
Sorry, will chat. The one for Flap was with the restricted parks thing. It was that program. They might have restructured since then, but it is Arts in the Parks.
Okay.
Desert?
That's maybe why I'm on their email list.
I'm on their list too. We all are at this point.
Desert?
Um, those parks that are on the preferred, that's the ones where they're trying to incentivize people to utilize those parks, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so I think it was when we first started up the fire jam, we reviewed most of those parks, like prioritized investigating those parks and found that they weren't suitable for the fire jam.
Yeah.
Or they're difficult to get to without a vehicle. Something to keep in mind. Do we have to get like 100 to apply for that grant?
No.
Okay.
So there's a list of parks and and playgrounds that are not eligible to receive grants. And Volunteer Park is not on that list, nor is Gasworks. So we would miss 3 points on the application for not using a preferred park. But honestly, I think outside of that, our application would be pretty strong, like given the other parameters and things that they're awarding points for. So I think it could still be worth it. I am sort of like have been brainwashed by someone who knows more about grants than I do to like, she's like, you shouldn't apply for a grant unless you're 100% sure that you can get it, which I think is kind of, lady knows a lot about grants. And maybe not like 100%, but like 95%. Because it is like expensive and time consuming just to write a grant. And if we're not going to get it, then it's like we could use that time and energy applying to grants that we will for sure get. But yeah, I'm going to see what Katie says. I did email the administrator of the grant. There was an info session a couple weeks ago that I went to, and then I sent him an email to see if we could chat a little bit about like our application. And I haven't heard back from him yet. So, but doing the thing, put in the relationship wires out there and starting to get that going. So that's good. There are probably other grants. There's like some that are kind of rolling that we haven't gotten around to applying for yet, but maybe this winter will be a good time for some of those. Zach, Malin.
So, I don't know if you all have discussed this in recent meetings. I've been a little absent. But Fund the Flow Arts this year is specifically targeting teaching and grants for instruction and stuff. And so, and they have a tier for established organizations. So we could ask for a big chunk of money as opposed to a like $2,000 grant. We'd be like, can we get like 25K from you to support our teaching efforts? So anyway.
Yeah, I did see that. And they have an info session this Wednesday that I am hoping to attend. I'll put it in the chat. Why
Yeah,
I'm giggling.
I'd love to
yeah.
check that out.
But
I went to a previous info session, and so
you were able to, okay.
I was able to get in, yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was not.
Okay, interesting. They even talked in the session about how people who had planned to be there weren't in it, and I was like,
they didn't post the link.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So I did give Prisna that feedback that they did not post the link and we were not able to attend. And she said they would do a better job. I still have not seen a link, but hopefully I will be able to attend.
Their new structure this time around does seem like it would be very appropriate for workshops associated with Flow Shop, for instance.
Yeah.
Other workshop series. It's very teaching focused, and so yeah, that could be a way to afford the insane rent at venues for Flow Shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, if you would like reserve space and just fill the instructors in instead of like, I need one space for one instructor and next, like that's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Fund the Flow Arts is definitely on the list. In the shorter term for what we will be applying to. So it's probably those two grants will be the only two that happen between now and the end of this year, as far as just like applying. But also, yeah, the Washington Festivals and Events Association, which I just got back from that's the conference I was at this week. There's been quite a lot of really good grant information that has come from that, including just like a list of a ton of grants that I wasn't aware of yet. So that's awesome, including for City of Bellevue, for Eastside Spin Jam. And I also am planning to have a meeting with Wendy Tyner, who is the one who's like, I only apply for grants I know I'll win, to talk about the challenge of trying to find grants for Kindle, because we as the fiscal sponsoring agent are in a different state from the event. So there's a lot of grants that we are automatically disqualified from, but there is still funding available for our weird little situation. We just need to like learn more about it and about where those foundations are and how to find them. So yeah, so I'm hoping to get more info about that from her. Zoe.
Hey, just wanted to add a note on that. There were discussions within Kindle on the reserve director team that's phasing out, that there is hope of long-term discussions about exploring our own nonprofit status, and creating our own board with those previous director teams. So Melanie has expressed that as a want for her future involvement, stepping away as a director to help explore those options as well for increasing potential for grants. So just wanted to add that in for Kindle stuff.
Rad, thank you. I think that's most of the stuff I have for grant updates.
Sweet. Any other development related topics?
Please, board members, remember that one of your top 3 jobs as a board member is to help fund our program. So I'm just gonna start plugging you and massaging you now to think about who in your community or networks might be excited to donate, as we get through to the end of the year. And yeah, work those networks, babe. Please.
Any recent like cool clip art or stuff like that? Maybe we could use. That'd be sweet. I'll reach out to you about
Yeah,
it.
great.
Yeah, I'm gonna put more effort into that this year. Well, it is 10:59. I propose we pause for exactly 5 minutes. And then we come back and do all the other things on this list of things. All right, see you back at 11:05 sharp. Hello. It's 5 after. Do we need to unpause the recording? Okay. Oh, yeah, it says recording. Cool. All right. Welcome back. So, looking at this agenda, where are we? We have talked about Kindle. We have not talked about other programs. We need to do operations, marketing, finance, and board of directors. Should we switch gears and do some finance stuff? I can't hear you. You weren't muted.
Yeah, we can do that.
There we go. Okay. All right.
I would like about, well, no time is fine. Y'all aren't gonna have this link just yet, but yeah, do a share. So everybody should have the November 2024 board meeting. I'm looking for the share option. It doesn't look like I have it.
You should. You're a co-host.
Great. Okay, so cool. Okay, everybody should be able to see my screen here. Yes, no, yes, cool. So this is the November financial report. This meeting is the sum up of Q3. So in this document, there is a link to the living budget, which looks like this, which has each quarter in aggregate, right? This is the same thing we've been using for a very long time. Okay. To just give some quick highlights, we can focus on the items that are in red. So, all right, so let me just run this down real quick. So this is Q3 numbers, okay? One thing to note is the numbers that we report in our books tend to differ from the program reporting numbers. And I don't know why. But this is what's recorded in the books, and this is what our taxes are paid off of. So in the next document we'll look at, we'll take a quick look in where you can see it by program, which is cool. Our next budget will be broken out instead of looking at lump sums for everything. The next budget will have a breakout for all of our programs so that we can get a better view of each program as well and budget for each program. So if we look at these two columns here, L&M, what you see is a percentage, and this says, are we above or below our estimated, our forecast numbers so far for this year, right? We're 75% of the way through the year at the end of Q3, which is September 30th. And we have, on our government grants, exceeded that already by 200%. Non-government grant, that's awesome. That's great. Way to go, YAR, on getting that big grant back in Q2. Awesome. We are way under expectation for direct contributions. But one thing to keep in mind is that we haven't done our giving events. That's coming up, right? So these numbers aren't going to track directly. There's ups and downs, and another goal for the budget is to be able to estimate when we should hit these numbers and not just take it as a percentage of how far we are through our fiscal year. We're doing really good we're at 86% of our revenue with 75% of the year. So we're ahead of our revenue goals. We do have down here, we look at some of these red numbers where we're spending more than we budgeted for. And areas where we're spending less than we budgeted for so far, right? Not specifically that one's gonna hit it, but this one here, like we're spending less on facilities than we budgeted for. So when you consider that, I see Arlene squinting, maybe I can help Arlene out with the squinting. Is that better for y'all? Okay. So like supplies and materials is our biggest overrun, and that's because we've decided to increase our production value of the fire jam and our other events. So in the next document, we'll take a few minutes looking at, you can see how this breaks down across all programs. And that helps you get a better view of where did we spend the extra 150% of our budget on, okay? This is all pretty dry, y'all. If you have specific questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just gonna give a high level and some number totals, okay? If we jump down here to the final numbers on our net. So we're actually doing better than I projected at this point. We're up money. I don't know why I don't have that formula in there, but we do. Right? So far our revenue has exceeded. We're gonna have some more expenses, but we're doing fine. Our burn rate is fine where we are. Anybody have any questions on that?
It's not a question. I have a lot of cash that needs to be deposited. Depositing cash at BECU is annoying because I have to straighten out every dollar bill, like, because it's cash deposit at the ATM. So that will change some of the reported program amounts. There's also like the numbers that come through Venmo, and then Venmo takes a fee. So I think that's probably part of the discrepancy, at least for ESJ. And then just for a note for like direct contributions being down overall, FlowShop usually is some percentage of those, and FlowShop was weird this year because we didn't have a place to be, so we were doing the like skating things, and which we weren't accepting donations at, and then at Yesler we were not allowed to accept donations. That was like a condition of the contract agreement with them. So, and then we don't usually accept or receive donations during the summer. So FlowShop's been weird. That's a note. And yeah, and I will make some cash deposits. That's good to know, Zoe, about Tukwila. I still have to drive to Tukwila. So either way, it's like depositing cash with BECU is annoying. But I will do that, I swear. Probably not this coming week, but soon, so that I don't have these piles of cash.
Are they from different programs?
Yeah.
Do you know the allocation?
They're in different piles.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Can you make them separate deposits then?
I will make them separate deposits as much as I can. Well, okay, so they will all be separate deposits for each program. You can only deposit up to 30 bills at one time. So some of them might be like one deposit will be spread over 2 deposits, but I'll send you details about all of it.
That works.
Yeah.
Anything else before we move on to the last little bit? No? Okay. So what we see here is a report I just pulled up because I thought it might be interesting for everyone to see from a program point of view. This one goes through November 2nd instead of September 30th. But, you know, like Arlene was saying, if we look at our direct cash, we can see that we're lower than what we projected on the other sheet. But also we weren't playing for flow shop venue rental either, right? So we didn't get that income, but we didn't have that expense, and that expense generally higher than that income. So we're up a little bit, I'm fairly sure. I'm not gonna take time to run the numbers right now. It'll bore you all to tears. But this is how I see our budget being broken out moving forward. One of the other things that I have to present is at the end of the year, all of this information will be allocated to specific projects. Like Flowshop has an expense of Arlene's time that is never really been captured before. And that'll happen this year. We know now exactly how that's allocated because we've been tracking the time throughout the year, how it's been used. Yeah, so any specific program questions? You all have access to these documents. I'm happy to review it line by line if you like. I think it'll bore us all to tears. In general, our programs are doing great. I do have a pretty good summary in our document here. I found a document that YAR had for program budgeting. This is pretty great. I've updated a bit in here to against the projected and the actual nets for what we have. And overall, we're doing pretty good. Like nothing is outlined. Like when I say there's about like Arlene's time in Flowshop, that's about $1,700 worth of time to Arlene. It's 89 hours, right? So how Arlene's time, and maybe we don't track that as an expense moving forward. We should all talk about that, not at this moment, because Arlene's time is useful wherever it is. So do we track it against the program or not, right? Let's talk about that, figure it out. But I wanted to give you all some numbers so you understood the impacts on why I think it's important that we figure it out. Yeah. But yeah, projected expenses were 4,900 so far. It is 45, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. FlowFest actual net so far is in the negative about $1,100 after including the Arlene's time. So we'll have all of this fully broken out into Q4. Our bookkeeper applies payroll allocations at the end of the year, trying to keep our costs down outside of the financial reporting. I want to give anybody an opportunity to ask any questions about the finances for any program, overall health, anything that was unclear in the documents that the board was sent. And the Q4 treasure report will be a bit more interactive because everything will be closed out for the year. And that'll happen at our next board meeting, but I'll send something probably in January. So as we have them closed for the board to review. One of the big things that came up in the looking at the living budget is the costs of our accounting. Accounting fees were higher than we expected. Before the end of the year, they were already at 151%. By the end of the year, they'll be closer to 180%. I did have a conversation with our vendor for bookkeeping. We have identified some ways to keep the costs down that were put into effect about a month and a half ago. And we're seeing the results of that at 3 hours charged versus 6 hours charged. Right. So there's going to be, this will get closer, but that does require a little bit change to some of our process. Right now, I've taken on all of that workload, but some of that's going to get distributed out in the form of receipts that are going to be self-managed. People are going to need to start uploading them in the correct format to a location. so I don't have to spend time renaming and putting things places. That'd be great. It's a lot to manually enter. Other than that, we're in good shape. I'm gonna stop here unless there are any questions from a financial point of view. So
Dope, thank you.
there's a lot more in the treasurer report document.
Yeah,
If people haven't read through it, it's worth the read. I'm happy to walk through it right now.
I think we should.
I'm hanging in suspense for the rest of
I
that
know.
sentence.
I know.
And to say,
Just like they're just, yeah, I don't know how much detail we want
Alright.
to get into it all. I do agree that people should read it. Are there things that stand out to you that you like besides what you've already mentioned?
86% of our yearly budget, 73% of our expenditures. So our revenue is exceeding our expectations and our expenses are right about our expectations. And I think that this is artificially lower because we have no big expenses for the rest of this year, right? We aren't spending 25% of what we've spent the whole year in the next 3 months. We're spending almost nothing for our events, right? It's just our reoccurring. And in the budget, we'll have the reoccurring. We'll know what's going to be spent when and be able to graph that so we can see our expenditures per month, year over year, which will help us better anticipate, is our budget actually at 73% or are we at 99% of our expenditures for the year and now we've got all this extra money. We could do a volunteer appreciation event, for example, at the end of the year. Okay. The pay discrepancy for the executive director is now resolved. We're balanced. So that doesn't need to be tracked anymore. Thanks for working on that with me, Arlene, Kat, and then Zach.
Maybe we're gonna get to this, but what's the timeline and process for the 2025 budget?
I put it together and then it goes to the board, is the process for review. The timeline it'll be done sometime between now and the end of the year from the draft, right? From what I plan to put together to give the board, for the board to review, and then we'll have a budget planning session. And hopefully we do all that in January so that by the February board meeting, we can just approve the budget.
Okay.
That's my thinking on it anyways. And anyone else have any other ideas? Okay, cool. Zach?
So I really like the direction you're going of having program expenses broken out by each of the line items. Are we still gonna have a summary sheet similar to the existing living budget that is the totals plugged into that relative to how far in the year we are? Is that still the plan? Or will we have relative expenses to where we are in the year in a column in the new sheet that's broken out by program?
Why not both?
I mean,
No,
why
but I
both is
mean,
great. Yeah.
The only difference in what you're describing is a report or a document based on class
Yep.
separation or not. And
Yep.
that's a button inside QuickBooks to hit report. So there's a summary. Like if you look in the board meeting now for these notes, there's a budget full and a budget summary.
Yep.
So they'll both be available. If I
Excellent.
understand
Okay.
the question, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I was asking, and cool, great.
Okay.
Good job, thank you. That's looking really good.
Gotcha. Anything else to highlight in here? We are working through, we've got some action from directors. Is Zoe still here? Maybe, maybe not. That's okay. We've got some action from the Kindle directors where we need to work through some debit card ordering, and we have planned the banking activities that I still need to be, I don't fully understand them, like what the plan is, who's going to own what responsibilities, whose name's on what. But due to scheduling, I wanted to get that date locked in. So me, Arlene, and Blaze are locked in for November 13th. So we've got about a week and a half to exactly figure out what the strategy is. I went to look at our board notes. It wasn't clear to me. So Arlene, Blaze, anybody else who wants to be involved in that conversation, we should have a 30-minute get together and make sure we're all on the same page about what transferring is happening before we get there. That's it. We still have plans for growth. No action's been taken on investment accounts to date. You can look back to the August meeting notes for all of the suggested pathways. But I think we need to get the banking actions sorted out first before we approach our investment vehicles again. And is there anything else in here? I wrote all this stuff out. Class-based budgets, broken down expenses. Nope, that's it. That's everything I put in here for quick notes, y'all.
Thank you, Desert. Time check. It's 11:27. And we still got to review programs and a few other things. So I would like to move on to Arlene about programs. Before we do that, just a heads up, we did talk about changing the bylaws to more explicitly specify that the initial term is 3 years, not 1 + 3 years. I was not satisfied with the wording of that and didn't get it out. It required 10 business days ahead of time for bylaw changes. So I will send out the proposals, but we won't vote on it until after that's enough. And that's what's up, Desert.
Was the decision for this just an automatic 3-year term?
No, I thought it was 1 + 2.
Yeah.
All right.
My only thing is to be clear that it's a 1-year term, and then you get to choose if you
Yeah, I'll send out the
apply for or whatever term we use for.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to let you know that like we can't actually vote on it because there wasn't enough notification, which I fully own. I was not happy with what was in there. Anyway, program.
Program.
Also, those earrings, I just where'd you get that?
Fair, baby. Flow Shop. Okay, so Flow Shop has been going well. We found a venue through the end of this year. I am sad to report that the other irons I had in the fire said no, so I will continue that. I just looked at Pitch Studio, which I don't love the location of, and I think it's small. But it is currently available on Tuesdays. We are definitely in a scenario where like I would rather have a space than not space. And I'm just gonna like continue to reach out to people and try and solve this forever problem that I hope one day won't be a forever problem. I would love to like, I did not appreciate how good we had it with Dance Underground, a sentence I maybe never thought I'd say. But it has been going well. I don't know what the donation amounts were like from last week, because I was not there. I had other people hosting. So I'm not sure, but from the first one, we covered the cost of the studio, where the current space is like $35 an hour. So we're in like, it's reasonable for the weekly donations to like approach covering the cost of the venue, which is for the first time since SFAC has existed, actually. So that's cool. And the attendance has been really great. It was like over 20 the last 2 weeks. So we're filling out that space pretty good. Cat.
I was at Flow Shop and there wasn't a plug for donations until kind of people were leaving. It didn't really happen during circle time. I also think we could make sure that the hosts mention like this event is put on by Seattle Flow Arts Collective. That's a nonprofit. Like just none of that kind of was covered, which is not a big deal, but might be nice like to make sure that stand-in hosts are covering that kind of thing.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's Flow Shop. That's more or less what it is. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments about Flow Shop? Great. East Side Spin Jam is kicking it. They're in their new space at Crossroads Community Center. It is very large, and so that's rad. They have enough capacity to be able to do a workshop at the same time that just like Open Jam is happening, which is really nice. And it seems like it's been going well. They're happy with the space. Tori's got workshops lined up, getting those going. Yeah, depending on what we learn at the info session for Fund the Flow Arts this week, I do think that applying for covering the like expenses for at least the one East Side Spin Jam per month for the instructor ones, I don't think that we'll be eligible to have the grant cover like a general flow jam, but we can figure that out. So that'll be something that we do.
Definitely no for general flow jam. Definitely yes for the jam that has a instructor.
Yep. Yeah. So that will happen. That's that. Does anyone have questions about East Side Spin Jam or comments? Great. Seattle Spin Jam. I haven't heard from Mary in a little bit. I don't know if she is still thinking that she wants to try and find an indoor venue for winter. I suppose we should have that conversation and kind of see what she's thinking before we write our budget for next year. Because if we are going to do that, then we will want to include that in the budget. That's it. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't know. There were not all of these have long reports, y'all. The programs are programming, except for the ones that aren't.
I'll take short reports. Yeah, that's great.
Great. Northwest Flow Fest final numbers. I don't have information for this. I haven't had a chance, Desert made a report that I haven't had the chance to read through yet. I think the gist is that after including executive director hours as like the producer, because I paid an hourly rate, it brought the event to a red situation rather than a black situation as far as finances go. Desert?
So in the books right now, it's at a negative 460 before adding your time.
Okay, I think I want to review it because I think you and I have discrepancies on our
Sure.
understanding of the numbers. So I think we should figure that out. Yeah. That's Northwest Flow Fest. I did just technically officially finish Northwest Flow Fest yesterday. So
What
the
was
festival is finally over. It's been going on this whole time. I don't know if you knew. And just a reminder, going forward, it's Flow Fest Seattle.
I will start updating all of my categories.
Why the name change? Just out of curiosity.
When Cassandra started Florida Flow Fest, she was the only one saying like Florida Flow Fest, and now there have been other people saying there's like no, that's her. There's like Southwest Flow Fest, that's not hers. There's one, or Utah Flow Fest, I think is another one. Great Lakes Flow Fest. So there's just been like more of that happening, and it's causing brand confusion, and sometimes Cassandra getting angry letters about who she hired for an event that she is not producing. And so she's trying to just like,
Yeah.
so she's rebranding all of the events. So all of her events now will be Flow Fest, and then the city that they're in rather than the event. Because I think it's also kind of occurred to her like over the past 12 years or however long she's been doing these, that it really is like an event that is in a city, and that's like the geographical focal point rather than like the Northwest, right? It really is like Flow Fest Seattle. People
Yeah.
come from all over, but it's mostly Seattle people. So
Heard. Thank you.
It's a rebrand. And the logo is basically like it's things are the same. We still have like the whale or like the orca tail is like the image on our thing, and it just says Flow Fest Seattle instead of Northwest Flow Fest, but is more or less the same. And she has already gotten started on like branding and stuff for next year, which is awesome. I think there's actually even a flyer. So that is amazing.
She's so on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she has more time now that she's not with Boys and Girls Club. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I think those are all the Flow Fest things. I do want to eventually, my goal is to have that event be like completely covered by grant funding. Because I think we can do it.
I think it's doable. Once everyone knows how awesome we are.
The Community Fire Jam is not listed under programs.
Oh, and PM Blaze, don't trust her. We will append that to the end.
I'll say things, and then Ariana and Desert can fill in what I missed, but we just had the last jam of the year this past weekend, and it was beautiful and great, and also it was sparsely attended due to inclement weather, which was unfortunate, but Shameless or Recess was there and he did amazing and brought a really bangarang setup that I would love to have back somehow. I think it was the best looking event that we've ever had. We got new lights, like stage lights that we can use to provide just more ambient lighting. We're like using them to light up the trees, the sequoia that's in the background, which is really beautiful. And I think I have the fourth light because one of them was shipped, was not working. And I think the mystery box is the light. Richard was here, and now there's a box in my apartment, and I don't know, now is now. And we also got 2 new speakers, ostensibly for the Fire Jam, but also for other programs. Yeah, so that's good. We'll now be on break for Fire Jams, probably until April, I think is what the crew has more or less decided. So we'll be taking some time off to perhaps work on other things, kind of get some documents sorted. I know there's some things that Z wanted to change or solidify within just like the lead documents and things like that. So we'll have some time to do that. And there is a plan that has not yet been initiated for, I think for Desert, Ariana and I to meet with Z to kind of see how they're feeling about the producer role, how it's been going, being compensated for that, and how that, just like how things are working, and kind of, and also I think make some things a little bit more clear, and again, updating some documents so that it's clear whose job is to do what task related to the admin side of the event. And I really want to get more grant funding for this program specifically. And that's what I have. Do Desert or Ariana have anything to add?
I can fill in some numbers about attendance for this past one. And I'll compare it to our one in September because Northwest Flow Fest is always kind of an outlier. Yeah, so we had 37 participants, which I think with the weather and also it being Halloween weekend is pretty decent. But compared to our September one, September had 57. And the spin count is a big difference. So we had 82 spins at this one compared to 197 last time. I don't have the donation and fuel info. But yeah, I have the registrations and that stuff.
Thanks. The donations were pretty low. I haven't looked to confirm, but honestly, I think it was like under $50. There were like $7 in cash. And then I saw a couple donations, like 1 or 2 go through from Give Butter.
Cool. Yeah, if you can get that to me or if you want to put it in the spreadsheet.
I will do it. Any other questions or comments about Fire Jam? Neat. I think those are all our programs.
All the ones that we directly do, yes.
Cascade Juggling Festival is confirmed for the second weekend in May.
Nice.
I believe. Yeah. The 9th through the 11th of May. And we do need to, yeah, have a conversation about what our role is exactly with that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's for
Yeah.
the future and also needs to include those other humans, the other producers.
Sweet. Well, we have 15 minutes left together, so I want to make the best of that. I think we have a few more update type things. There's also item here to talk about land acknowledgement. I don't know if we have time for that or not. But I did want to quickly go over the board of directors section, because that's mine. As mentioned, there's a recruitment campaign so that we can have new round of people becoming involved in the board of directors next year. And planning for that is still underway. And there's also some related discussion of like what the roles are and how they are changing or not. At the board retreat, I'm not going to summarize the whole thing, but one of the things we did talk about is sort of what will happen next year in terms of officers and roles. And so we do have a plan in the works for figuring that out for the next year. I don't want to commit anyone right now, but it will hopefully be stepping down as chair and doing something not chair. So that'd be cool. As far as the board retreat goes, we were in Umpqua? Clayla? I had off of I-90 in a mountain, and we talked for a day and a half about all the things. And it felt like we didn't have any like immediately panic topics. It was actually quite a nice retreat this year. Thanks everyone for participating if you're able to make it. And we don't have written up notes for that are ready to share. I think Ariana, you as well as I forgot about the need to send this out ahead of time. But the rough notes are there if you wanted to look at something. And part of that, we'll also be going and looking for any other action items that we forgot to act on. And that's all I have about board stuff for now. Our next meeting is January? February. That's right. We said no January. It's in February. So there's a bit of a gap. And we're having a little bit of time off for the holidays as well. So I want to be cognizant that we'll be a little bit of a blackout there in December. But we'll have all of January to figure board meeting, so that's great. What should be any questions about board stuff? All right. We skipped over marketing. Is there anything you want to say about marketing? I like it.
We need to jump on swag for the volunteer retreat. Ariana, I will email you and Allison about that. I have some thoughts. And I think we should try and meet. There was one date on that when to meet that worked for all three of us. So I think we should do that, but I also want to be pretty like ready to jump in that meeting because we are getting close to how time works. So but yeah, that's happening. We did discuss at the board retreat like hiring someone to help with social media and like calendar management and some of the things that take up a fair amount of my time that would free me up to do other types of things, apply for more grants, do all of the million administrative things that I always say that I don't have time for. So yeah, I'm like working on that and trying to think through who and everything. Yeah, marketing. We do it.
We do it. We also skipped over operations. The only thing I have in there is the fact that we considering the website revamp, as it's been a while. And the scope of that and stuff is still TBD, but I think we all agreed at the board retreat that like it's time to make it look newer. There was also some other equipment I saw in the meeting note about like pop-ups. I'm not sure. Do we use those for the jam?
Not for we did use the pop-up for this fire jam because it was rainy. So we had a handful of ours and then some like crowdsourced ones also. But no, I think I just want our booth to be nicer. A thing I would really like to a thing that I think is a really great opportunity for our organization is to really like turn up the volume a little bit on the thing where we come, we bring a bunch of props, we have a couple people who teach your event attendees how to do the thing. I think that what we have is something that a lot of event organizers would be very interested in having at their event because a lot of their things are like consumable versus what we're doing is participatory, right? We're not selling them things. They're not just like watching, they're actually engaging with something. And I think that's really, really cool. And so I want to like turn that up. And if we do turn that up, I want us to look more professional, little less jank, little bit nicer setup so hoops aren't like falling everywhere and etc. So yeah, I plan to make some purchases for that. I also forgot to mention for marketing, I did hear back from Natalie, and she and I are working on finding a time to meet so that we can work on some press releases, on building some press releases. So I'm not sure what the cost of that will be. I'm not sure if we're gonna have her do like 3, because I want several different ones that are like targeted. Or if she would do 1 or 2, and then we could maybe use hers as a template to create other ones in-house. TBD, but it's no longer festival season, so now we have time to plan festivals.
About the truth. There's only a small gap in the year where there's not festivals, so you need to take advantage. All right. I think we have covered all the existing business. Should we talk about land acknowledgement stuff?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
So SFAC currently has 2 programs that have land acknowledgements, which is not in line with our current position as a board. We have not taken the appropriate action. There, in fact, is no action in alignment with these land acknowledgements, which by multiple accounts of Native and Indigenous peoples is more harmful than helpful and appears just as virtue signaling. And I have a strong emotion around this. And I have for 2 years, 2 years ago, I sent out communication about this. And as a board, we did not have the capacity to progress it. Now that we have 2 programs with land acknowledgements,
What 2 programs?
The Fire Jam has a land acknowledgement at its meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and Kindle Northwest has a land acknowledgement.
Okay.
So, you know, my thing has in the past been, okay, well, let's not do this until we have done the work that is asked of us to do before we do this. And now that we are doing this, maybe it becomes, okay, if we are already doing this, let's do the work. And, you know, I would love to have an ally on the board to do this work, but I'm willing to do it myself because I do not like the position that SFAC is in from both my perspective and external perspectives. All right.
First of all, I have to go at noon. I have a memorial service that's an hour away that starts at 1. So just as a heads up, I will be out. I think there was a native person at the conference this week, and this was something that was brought up in the like diversity panel. I don't think it's so cut and dry that the like general consensus is that they are useless and harmful. I think that there's like discrepancy and differences of opinion among native populations, like different tribes and different individuals. I don't really feel like we have, I think Kindle can do what they want. They're a fiscally sponsored program in that way. Like, I don't really feel like we should, you know, I think if they want to do it, they can do it ultimately. I do think that if we're going to do something that like trying to get into communication or reading from the peoples who are from this area, right? Because we're talking about things that are happening here and to the tribal groups that have existed in this space in Seattle. I think it would be great to build some connections there and see what the Duwamish and other tribes from this region actually want. The woman at the conference also talked about not just making a statement, but that a way to like increase the impact would be to first not do them too often. She did say that if it's like something that's happening every time, that it becomes something that people tune out or like become annoyed by, rather than being something meaningful that can have an impact. And she also talked about adding an encouragement for like an active step. So like making a donation to Real Rent Duwamish, those R's and W's, as an example of something that would be like an actionable thing, rather than just like, yeah, we stole the land and murdered everyone and we're still here in their occupied land. So those are thoughts. Those are words.
I think those are good thoughts, and it's a good place to start the conversation from about what SFAC can do. All of those actions are kind of in my document. There's additional Duwamish has and hosts like work parties, help pick up trash. SFAC could attend one of those. I'd be down for it. There are other things that happen that aren't necessarily fiscal sponsorships. There's volunteering at the I always get this Daybreak Star Center, right? They have events there. There was a gala last night that United Nations Tribes put on, where SFAC could look to, get a couple of seats at something like that to help, that community. So yeah, there's quite a few things around. And I've spent some time digging into it. Like I said, if anybody's interested in working with me on that, great. But I'm going to put together a proposal for the board that Matt puts action to talk.
I would be into doing that stuff.
Sounds great. It is exactly noon, so Arlene is going to finish. We are to the end of our agenda. If anyone would like to make any comments or announcements, we can do that quickly. I want to lead off and say I have two 6x8 foot mirrors coming, and they're going to be transportable and available if anyone needs to borrow them. That's all I got.
I just want to touch back to the discussion about land acknowledgement briefly. Desert, like, thank you for keeping this in frame for everybody. And also, I think if you put together a draft, it's something that I'll be very happy to like look at and provide my thoughts on. And I love the idea of the board members who can up there attending events with the Duwamish, whether it be trash pickups or other cultural events. I'm doing similar stuff and trying to build relationships down here with the Confederated Tribes of Siletz. So that's the right track, I think. Thank you.
The Wamish Fair was pretty, like, they had an event, it was really adorable, and there's totally space for us to be like, check this out.
That sounds rad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good work. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Anything else for the good order? In that case, we'll need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
I love that. Seconds on the motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion on the motion to adjourn the meeting? I don't hear any discussion. Moving forward to voting. All in favor, say aye. All against, say nay.
Aye.
Aye. All right, the motion carries. We've adjourned. Yay. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I think we can stop
Sorry
recording.
for the tardiness.
Same.
Who is recording this one?
Arlene.
Me.
Okay, Arlene, I'd like to bring a hard drive over. I think you have all of the meetings on your computer.
I have many.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, I would love to get them off of here and onto
I also
elsewhere.
have all the hard drives.
I'll send a thing for us.
Okie doke. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for your
I'll see you
Thank
later.
y'all. Boy.